My name is Karen Cirillo, and I'm the executive producer of Children's Broadcasting Initiatives at UNICEF. And in that role, I deal with children's broadcasting initiatives and youth media projects. And I'm at the summit because I thought it was about media for children, but it's actually about media literacy. So
Oh, right.
it's an interesting conversation, especially because media literacy, I think, is a very European model, and the work that I do is kind of all around the world. So it's an interesting juxtaposition to see the conversations that people are having around media.
Okay. So when you say you thought it was about children and media, well, how does that differ from media literacy?
Well, I thought it was more about creating responsible media for children and creating media that involved youth voices and getting higher quality and more representative media and more culturally representative media. I think there's sort of two different reactions to media. One is that people need to be empowered to be able to interpret media, which is very important, but I also think it's very important that responsible media is created, and I think until there's kind of sort of political and social movements to help make people aware of the responsibilities of media makers, I don't think that we're going to really be able to change anything right away, but I do think that educating young people about media will help in the next generation to maybe make media more inclusive and responsible.
Okay, cool. So this is a bit of an informal question, but as a child, what kind of media did you like? What things kind of
I was actually
influenced you as a
very,
person?
very blessed by having parents that believed very strongly in all forms of media. So I watched like a movie every day. I wasn't allowed to watch any television except for public broadcasting, like Sesame Street. But other than that, no TV, it was just movies. So I sort of grew up on foreign movies, independent movies, classic movies, whatever. I watched movies. So that was
Okay.
mostly movies, although I did sneak television when I went to friends' houses.
Okay.
That's the power
And do you
of
think
media.
that has helped shape you as a person?
I do think it made me a little bit more aware of differences in the world around me. I think the problem sometimes in only watching, say, television is that you're only getting a specific ideology that they're putting forth. It's like the cultural norm. But I think that if you are able, and I think what's now so great is that people are able to watch media from all over the world, and it's really easy to access, that you're kind of getting a little bit of a better glimpse of what the world has to offer, which is, I think, definitely will form better opinions.
So with that in mind, is there anything about the media at the moment that angers you, or that you would like to improve or see change?
Well, I think that, one, I don't think that children are represented sort of empowered enough in media. I think I don't think it has to be everywhere, but I do think that there should be some small places where children themselves are able to voice themselves in the media. And I also think, there's been a lot of talk about sexualization of females in the media, and I think that may be a problem, but I think the bigger problem is that we don't have a wide enough variety of roles for males and females, for people with disabilities, for people of different races and cultures. Everything is sort of a stereotype on TV, and I think that we need to work a lot harder to get more diversity into media so that it doesn't have to be like, oh, this is obviously a show about an immigrant. It's just a show about a family that happens to be immigrants. And I think once we make that shift, it's going to make media a lot better.
Okay, great. So one of the things that the Global Youth Council at the World Summit will be doing is identifying some issues like the ones maybe you mentioned, and suggesting some recommendations to improve the media and work towards a better media. How would you recommend or suggest maybe ways that you could help to put those things into action?
I think one would be, I think just people who make media aren't even conscious of the fact that they're doing these things. So I think one is just educating media makers that there's a larger world out there. And another way of doing it is, and this is probably a little controversial, but the idea of quotas, of making sure that you have at least some different opinions or different faces or different voices in the media. And it might start off as feeling a very limited sort of legal thing, but I think that once people get used to it, then they no longer notice that it's something that they have to follow, and it's just something that they're going to naturally do anyway. And I think when we all, in every way in society, kind of have those ideas in mind and have them second nature, then we're a lot better off.
Okay, great. And could you also maybe talk a little bit about what UNICEF is doing to work with young people and media?
I'd love to. Well, we have the International Children's Day of Broadcasting, which is a day that's celebrated in March where we get as many broadcasters as we can on board to making special programming by for and about children. So we have a lot of news presented by young people, talk shows presented by young people, different shows that get kids on the air and get special children's programs on the air. And then we also have a project called the 1 Minute Junior, which is making 1-minute films with young people all around the world about issues that they face in their lives, and that's a great way to kind of get youth voices out there in a very easy, tiny way. And then we have a lot of kind of mobile social network projects that we're working on. We have like a technology innovation team that's doing a lot of work with young people around websites and blogging and SMSing and all things like that.
Great. Thank you very much, Karen. I
Thank
wish
you.
you all the best of luck with your UNICEF projects.
Thank you.
And hopefully there's some way that we can maybe work together with the Global Youth Council.
That would be great.